Many of you don't do this, and we do. And sometimes we scratch our head and say why.
And that's going to be winter camping. So we are currently out in Indiana in December. And well, it's warm now. It's about 29 degrees, but it's been going down into the teens. And we're going to talk about, you guys, if you decide to go winter camping, there's some tips we're going to give you. It's definitely very different than camping in the fall, spring, or summer, which we highly recommend you do that. But we understand some of you go out in the winter. We had to come out here now. It's definitely different, so you're going to want to watch this video.
Quick reminder, guys, a lot of you have found yourself unsubscribed, so just take a quick minute and check that subscription and make sure that you have the notification bell turned on so you know when our new videos come out.
Also, we have a free monthly newsletter that's back. We'll put the link down below. Just take a quick second, fill that out. If you're interested, you get our latest vlogs, discounts, news. We never sell your email, and it's just once a month. So we'll put the link down below.
One of the biggest things we find with camping in the cold and extreme, well, I don't know if extreme, it's very cold. Things just don't function as well as they do when it's warm. There's always things that are going wrong, and we find that for and like no rhyme or reason, but there's a lot of problems that can happen when you're camping in the cold.
So here's the first tip for those who are going to winter in the RV in the winter. See, I'm already saying things backwards because I'm frozen. Don't do it. It's a foolish idea to do. Well, unless you absolutely have to. The only way you should be doing this is if you're going from the cold to the warm, which is normally what we do. We go from cold to warm. But I wouldn't recommend going from warm to cold. There's just no reason to do this.
Or cold to cold, which is what we do. Again, we're at the Newmar Service Center. We're here getting some work done. This is probably not something we would do next year. Starting in retirement,
Absolutely
we're going to be headed cold to warm for sure.
Well, they do cut the rates in January. The rates go to $100 an hour. So if you want to save some money and deal with it, come in the winter.
Right. So let's get into things that can happen. All right. These are problems that can occur when you do RV in the cold. So number one, this is something we encountered, is things freeze.
They do.
So we went to open our awning 2 days ago and she wouldn't open. Wouldn't open.
The reason was because at home we had a bunch of rain. It rained pretty heavy like the day before. There was probably just enough in there. Mm-hmm. And then we came and it was 18 degrees at night and I went to hit the awning. You don't force it. If it doesn't go out, it was frozen. So they took the motorhome into the service center today, obviously climate controlled. We went to open the awning. It was fine. We're going to leave it closed because we've been getting little flurries. Mm-hmm. We don't want any of that to happen. So that's one thing that can happen. Things freeze. We're going to talk about some other things that commonly freeze. The next thing is going to be frozen locks. Not only the lock, sometimes the actual handle itself can freeze. Again, this is going to happen if you're going from a place where it's raining and then it gets cold overnight. Or, like what happened to us last year, if you decide to go to a car wash or an RV wash and then it gets cold at night, everything freezes. One way that you can deal with that, there's a couple of ways. First one, you want to heat up whatever. So if you have a hair dryer, something that's going to heat it up, if your front entry door lock, you're kind of screwed. We would recommend if you're going to be at a place, leave one of the slider window locks open just in case that happens. Another way to prevent that or to kind of reduce the chance, use some kind of water dispelling lubricant. So this is Shield T9. No advertisement for them. It's just something that works well. So I will spray in here. And we had one of our bay doors that kind of was frozen when we left home. I sprayed it in there, and within not too long, that lock was able to turn. So just takes a little bit of amount for that to happen, but that's something, just be aware of that. So when you're going down the road, guys, a lot of systems run on propane. And remember, we recommend you don't run the propane when you're going down the road. It's quite dangerous to do that. We don't do that. The question is going to be, how do we keep everything warm underneath? It's challenging. Couple things. Our water heater, we have a Truma water heater. They actually sell an antifreeze kit. So when you're going down the road, it's an electric, essentially this part right here. I'm not going to take it out because we're pressurized right now. But this portion right here, there's a filter that goes in there. It's actually electric and it will keep everything warm because we can't run the Truma going down the road. We'll put the link down below for that kit. You don't need it if you're not traveling in the cold weather. If you don't have something like that, we would strongly recommend you blow pressurized air through the system before you leave. That way, any of the plumbing underneath, there's no water in it to freeze, or you can run antifreeze through the system. Now, we talked about not running the propane going down the road. However, when you stop for fuel, that's a half-hour job most of the time. Run your furnace at that point. That's going to help build things up. We're able to monitor our basement temperature by using a simple Govee Wi-Fi Bluetooth temperature monitor. We keep it right in this bay here, right next to the water pump. When we were going down the road, I asked MJ, I'm like, what is the temperature down the basement? 40 degrees, we were fine. Even though it was like 20 something degrees going out, we were okay. But when we stopped at the gas stations or to put fuel, we will run the propane that heats up the basement for us. So there's a quick tip.
Next thing we do is one of my favorites. So we're gonna go inside. Now, when we're home, guys, tell me in the comments, for you couples, there's always one that likes it super hot and one that likes it cold. At home, I'm putting the heat up, as he's putting it down, it's back and forth.
Okay, put in the comments below what is a comfortable, I guess, acceptable heating level. So I'm okay at 70, because in the summer, if it's 70 degrees inside, it's too hot. In the winter, if it's 70 degrees, it's an igloo. I don't understand still 70 degrees.
When it's really cold, I like 72, 73. So the next thing, when we're on the RV, I get the heat that I want. So we use these space heaters. Now, I see a lot of times in Facebook groups, people are asking, are space heaters safe and this and that. So we use these all the time. We got these off Amazon. I will put the link down below. We've had these for quite a while. I think I used these before we even had the RV. These are great.
Can you show the knockover?
Yeah, as soon as you move it, it stops, so it goes off. You know, there's different levels. This thing puts out a lot of heat. We keep one in here, we keep one in the bedroom. At night, it's like a sauna in our bedroom. I love it.
Now, if your RV electrical system is not very good, these pull power, that's really up to you. We have a 50 amp coach. It pulls. It can handle it.
You could always use an external, like a little battery, a Blue Eddy thing or something like that. But whatever. I mean, these are like my dream. So I get my nice warm coach.
Why do we use the space heaters when we have a propane furnace on here? We have heat pumps. So a couple things. Heat pumps on this coach, 40 degrees is a cutoff. Anything below that, they don't work. I don't know if the newer coaches are more efficient. The heat pumps we have at home are good to 5 degrees, 100% efficiency, which is awesome. Anything under the 40 degrees, we have to use the propane. Now, propane, the heat will go through propane pretty quickly. Let me show you. We filled up our propane before we came down. We've now been, 3 days or so using the propane?
So Sunday, Monday, today's the third day.
And not propane solely, we're at half right now. So we're gonna have to fill up before we leave. So why we use the electric space heaters is to supplement that propane. Really, the only reason we're using the propane is to heat the basement. Now, you can take, if you want, and put a space heater down below. The problem is the compartments are separated, so you're not really going to get everything in there. I want to make sure that plumbing is warm down there. Now, again, this is going to be dependent on what RV you have, what coach you have. We're giving you our tips, what we do. When we're going down the road, we said we don't run the propane. How do we stay warm in here? Because it could get cold in here. There's two things that we do. And if you are a Newmar owner, and you have a Baystar or whatever, 100% get this option. So the first thing we do, we run the dash heat, of course, and that probably gets you warm till like over here or so. And how warm does it get between what we do? We were at 70 degrees going down the road. It was like 25 degrees outside. We actually had to take our jackets off.
Yeah.
The second thing, this is the option, if it's still an option on the Baystars or if any other manufacturers have this, there is an auxiliary heating option for the Newmar.
Now, a little disclaimer. We just got back from the gym. Our gym bags are out. So, we're a little sloppy in here, people.
So the auxiliary heater, there's right here, there's a vent. And you hit the auxiliary heater. I don't know how it works. It blows hot air out of here.
It is hot.
It is hot. And it warms this whole coach up. Like, it takes that back half, and we have it at 70 degrees in here. It works really well.
Another thing that we do, you don't have to do this, but we have found our fridge, when it got really cold, this is a season ago, I think. It was like last winter.
It's not our fridge, it's all of them.
Residential. But for us, this happened where the fridge just, it stopped working when it got really, really cold. So our tip is to keep your appliances warm when you're using them. If you have food in there and it's super, super cold and you're not keeping it warm, it may spoil. So
that freezer may not keep it as cold as you want.
Right, right.
A couple more tips in the cold, you feel the drafts, especially if you have slides. Some tips, guys, you want to make sure that your slides are flush. There's usually a foam, like finished in seal on there. You have the rubber, then the foam. You want to make sure they're flush up onto the wall. Just run your fingers, right? If you feel a draft, the foam is probably gone or it needs to be replaced, or your seals need to be replaced, or your slides need to be adjusted. Another place where you're gonna get a lot of draft, of course, on your windows. We have double pane windows, it's not as bad, but definitely on that front windshield, it is. So one of the things you can do, if you wanna put something like Reflectix, put any barriers you can put is gonna keep the draft out. Just even putting that shade down is going to block the draft from coming in. Also, in most of our cabinets, this is for heat as well as cold, you can just put the Reflectix in there if you want to do it. It's just an extra barrier, especially in the cold. Finally, this is really more if you're stationary, if you're traveling, it's a little too much if you're moving a lot. But one of the biggest things you can do if you're stationary, again, is putting skirting. There's all different types of skirting on there. You have the vinyl ones where it's like kind of permanently mounted with the buttons. Air skirts is another big one. We haven't used them. Some people put foam around. That's gonna make a huge difference because all that draft, you're not losing all that heat underneath. It's gonna trap everything in there, kind of insulate. So again, people that use skirting, put in the comments below what you use. Not something that we will probably ever use because I can't ever see us permanently in a cold place. We'll be at home for that. If you're a full timer and you're seasonal at a cold place, you're probably very familiar with skirting. Here's a bonus tip, guys. Before you head out into the cold, make sure you do a full walk around of your RV, that your maintenance is up to date. If you have holes in your roof and you have that snow freeze, it's a problem, and everything is more difficult in the cold. So make sure that everything is working, your furnace is working, all your appliances are working, because you don't want to deal with it in the cold. In the comments below, guys, let us know, are you a cold camper? Or do you think like step number one, like it's a foolish thing to do?
We're idiots. That's what people say. They're like, you're not an RVer if you're in the cold. Like,
no, we don't go out purposely in the cold.
No.
We just had to come out here. Next time we'll be in the cold, we'll be heading to Florida. If you like videos like this, guys, to the left of us, we'll put our RV newbies playlist. We'll put our RV travel vlogs playlist. And for myself and MJ, it's a journey of a lifetime. And we'll see you on the road.